Welcome, everybody. Happy afternoon. It's time for EST Afternoons. I'm Joaquin Gage, flying a little slow solo with my buddy Hernan Salas. It's got a little case of the sniffles. Went outside the other night, and it was a little bit of a chill in the air. Got a cold. Settled right down in his kidneys, from what I understand. Hernan, thanks for battling through. I kind of know what you felt like. I was dealing with the same type of thing last week, but thanks, buddy. I'm glad you're with me. I just wouldn't feel the same without you. Although you're not here physically, I feel you spiritually.
Yeah, I couldn't be that guy that took the day off after you toughed it out for 2 days with me. So I was kind of like, I was not feeling good last night. And then today in the morning, I was like, nope, I can't do this. So, coming to you live from my apartment here. And we have a fun show, Gage. Lots to talk about. There's panic in Edmonton over Oiler defenseman. MBT looks like he's going to get the start. And we're going to continue our NHL previews. Tony Marinaro from the Sick Podcast, as we'll preview the Montreal Canadiens, an interesting team there. And then at 2:20, that's at 1:20. At 2:20, we'll be joined by Ken Boehlke from Sin Bin Vegas, and we'll talk about everybody's favorite team here in Edmonton, Gager, the Vegas Golden Knights. And, of course, talk NFL. The games were, one game was great. The other one was a blowout. It was over by half. Just a reminder, you can hit us up on the Nasty Chat, or hit us up at the text line, 780-218-9999. You want to listen to us, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, or watch us on the good old YouTube machine. Gager, where do you want to start?
Well, first, I don't know. We're getting something from Adam in Quebec City on the text line. He's saying there's a little bit of an echo. I'm not sure if it's just his stuff or us, Zachticum, but we'll do our best to try to fix that up. Well, being it's Edmonton, Nanso, and we know what everyone really likes to hear about, Daniel Ricciardo. No, I'm kidding. No, probably just the split games last night. Sure. It's very difficult to watch two hockey games at once, right? And so I was primarily focused on the game down in Calgary just to see what I was surprised at the lineup that came up here, actually, with the players that came up here. I thought it would be a little bit reversed. The things that caught my eye mostly was from the game in Calgary was the play of Uyghur. It was really, really good. And, Tyson Barrie looked like a very controlled, composed defenseman. And unfortunately, on the other side, it looked like what we've been talking about for probably the last few weeks is just who is going to step up and make the decisions a little bit more difficult on the Edmonton Oilers coaching staff on who's going to start game one on the right side into that 5, 6, 7 position on D. And it's funny just talking with the guys around here. What you don't want from an organization is someone to just fall into that spot, right? We talked about Emberson before. Yeah. He looked good, like wasn't anything special, but looked okay. Didn't look out of place. Made some good plays, but nothing overwhelming. But you just wanted to see a little bit more, I think, from some of these other guys that are kind of fighting for that position.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't tune into too much of the game here. I was more intrigued by the other game. I did like the power play. Skinner, Hoffman, who else was there? Henrique, Arvidsson, and Ben Gleason, who I'll get to here in a bit. But you're right. And we know that's not going to be the power play. I think Rashog had it this afternoon that it was Arvidsson, Skinner, Perry with Nurse and Ekholm, which is, Gage, I think we talked about this last week. That's without Evander Kane, that's probably the right move with Perry there. But getting back to the defensemen, like I saw some very bad, poor play by some veteran defensemen, Josh Brown and Troy Stecher. I'll say both. I thought both guys struggled last night. I know Stecher took a penalty. He sent the puck over the glass. Josh Brown, the fifth goal, that's Gage, that goal can't happen. And I know it's preseason, but like when you're signed here on a 3-year deal and you're supposed to be a veteran, a 6'7" guy, I get it. You're not the best puck handler, but he gave that puck directly to the Calgary Flames. and not a lot of pressure on him. So I am concerned a little bit now. I think Emerson's going to be a lock, but when you're looking at Josh Brown and Troy Stetcher, I'm a little concerned. Check this out, though. I love Ben Gleason so far. I know it's preseason, and I'm the one that says, hey, take everything with a grain of salt, but he's moving around well. He's defending well. He's moving the puck well. He's good. I mean, he's not going to get power play time here, but on the point, he seems comfortable. So for me, I'm just sitting there like, and it's unfortunate, Gage, because he's a lefty.
I mean, you got to remember that I keep telling us Darnell Nurse is out of the lineup, and I know we're quite critical on Darnell Nurse's play, but you really realize because like I mentioned, watching Weegar play, you just see what a regular 20-minute defenseman in the NHL can actually do, and how he can impose his will on a game. It's a little bit troubling, and like you said, buddy, it is preseason, but we're I mean, it's not like I wanted to see someone that was going to take over from Vinny Desharnais. Right. And if memory serves me correctly, when he first came in, there was a lot of aggressiveness. You know, he was quick on pucks. He didn't look too out of place. He took up a lot of space. And from the next year on, I felt that his puck moving abilities, it had to get better at the NHL level. And it was a lot better. But it seems like these guys aren't close to where Vinny Desharnais was at the end of his end of the time he had with the Edmonton Oilers, right? There's a distinct drop off. And again, this is one game. I know that, but like you said, Ben Gleason looked like a guy that can get around, makes from a few times making a good first pass. The ability to take a hit and still have control of the puck as well, like win those types of battles. There was just too many physical battles with Brown, I felt yesterday, that he lost with his size and strength. Like he should win those battles effortlessly, right? It shouldn't be a question whether he's getting beaten or knocked off the puck. So again, we'll take it as with a grain of salt, and we're really going over these games. But did anything stick out with you from the game up here? What caught your eye from either the Flames or from the Oilers side?
For me, just it's a veteran group that was just going through the paces, getting their legs, got better as the game wore on. Huberdeau sure looked great. He set up some nice goals, and I know people are freaking out about Calvin Pickard. We had a guy, I think, on Monday saying Calvin Pickard's going to have a bad season. And listen, I know he wasn't great yesterday, but it's the preseason. So I don't want to overanalyze these performances. I'm not too worried. And it's funny because the broadcast team in Calgary that was calling the game, they were making fun of it too. They're like, oh, they're going to the playoffs now. Like, this is tough team. But they were laughing, right? Because it was a butt kicking in both arenas. It was.
It was funny when I looked at the scores at one time. They mirrored each other, and I was like, and it was for the Flames. I thought there would be kind of a vice versa effect, but no. I mean, look, I was trying to find where I saw someone say the Flames aren't going to be as bad as everyone thinks they are, and I think there's something to that. When you look at their top six, there are some good players there. They're going to need big efforts from people on a lot of nights to pull out victories. But saying that's it's not going to be an easy night, I don't think, against the Flames this year. Coming down the stretch, they could be. Will they be a team maybe pushing for that wild card? It's going to be very difficult, but definitely the role of spoiler, I think that they could play in the last portion of the year, just taking points away from teams that maybe take them a little bit lightly. And they've got Cooley was great in goal from what I understand, man. Like without them, that's probably a closer game on the scoreboard. He was from watching some of the highlights. He made some really good saves.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you this, Gager. Like for a guy like Josh Brown, can we kind of use an excuse that it's because he was playing with a lot of junior and a lot of guys that are like AHL, NHL tweeners, and he's going to be better once he's playing with the big boys because it's going to make his job a little bit easier. Is that fair?
There is a portion of that where if you hear a guy that gets called up throughout the year and he comes up and it's just the way he talks about the play, and I believe it was Tommy Gazzola just having some conversations with some of the players that are here, that it's for them, it's such a jump, and the responsibility of forwards to be in the proper position, how they support other people with the puck. And it's a weird thing to say, but sometimes as you move up leagues, it becomes a little bit easier to play because the play is predictable a little bit because guys are in the proper position, because they know what to do or they go to a certain point. It's so much more structured, the higher levels. So it does get, in a sense, a little bit easier to play. The first thing you'll hear about a guy going down to the minors is it's a lot more scrambly. Like guys are all over the place all of a sudden, right? So there is a point to that, and that's where I think just because it's the first preseason game, there's still a lot of guys. Like you saw some players go back to junior as you progress through the preseason. I think after this weekend, when we get into the last 2 or 3 games, is where you can really start looking at guys and making the proper decisions. You don't want to be too hasty right now with everyone's probably trying to grip the stick a little bit too hard, especially those D-men on the right side. They realize that the opportunity to be a regular with the Edmonton Oilers is available to them. So I'll wait till next week to pass judgment. But yeah, like you said, I think that there is definitely something to getting more regular NHLers in that type of situation, especially for D-men to make decision making and make that good, like I talk about at length, that good first pass.
Yeah, and Josh Brown's got a 3-year deal. I don't think he's too worried. But I'll tell you this, if he keeps playing the way he has in the first 2 games, very early, it's preseason. We all understand that. He's going to have to step it up quite a bit here. And it's unfortunate. My guy, Ben Gleason's not a righty because I think he'd be pushing. I do, Gager. And I think he should be in that conversation for that 6-7 spot because what I've seen from him, it's been really, really good. Let's head to the nasty chat. Zedmo says, Gleason and Kemp look good. Zedmo says, 5-6 isn't an issue. We need a legit 3-4 to play with Nurse. Now, we're all assuming it's going to be Mr. Ty Emberson. We need to see more of him. I like this one from Duck Dad. Just trying to figure out if Hernan's apartment actually exists on this planet of existence or another. That is complete light. So I have the blinds down. I'll lift them up for the next segment. It's just the light in here, man. It's really bright. So, yeah, I am in an apartment in Edmonton on planet Earth. So don't worry about that.
He's in the void. All right. Hernan's in the void. But I had a good discussion with Tom Gazzola, and he was able to maybe it's Tommy's story to tell, but he was with Sam O'Reilly, had a good conversation with him kind of off the record. And it was refreshing to hear a young guy stories about the draft and how it is his first camp and seeing Connor and Leon, like he's used to seeing these guys on TV and he actually mentioned how playing up here with such good players, it's a lot of fun because it does make a job a lot easier, especially a player like that who I was hearing that he wasn't a forward till way later in his hockey career, so there's more of a defensive background. Like a centerman that's defensively responsible, playing with guys that are positionally sound, must be a dream for a guy like that.
Yeah, and I'll just use this. Like, I never played high level like you or Cass or Dusty. I don't know why I threw Dusty in there, But when I played soccer, Gager, I always found it easier to play against the good teams because they had structure. like sometimes you'd play the last place team and it was just a bad team. And like, it was harder for me to play because I was like, I don't know what they're going to do. Like they're all flying all over the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I find like when you're playing that more structure, like top end players, it's just a little easier. Everybody knows where they need to be, where the puck should go. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly. It's almost like just scripting football plays, right? A guy gets a puck in a certain position. Everyone knows right where to go, and they read off the defense and know what to do, and the communication, right? But tomorrow night, Oilers, Jets,
Winnipeg.
So that will be. I think that's going to be a fun game, just because of the fact that it's not a split group, and we'll probably see. Them have a look at it sounds like Skinner's going to play. I think we might even see Connor Hellebuck in that game. So that would be, I always want to see the big goaltender matchups. That's always fun to watch too. But in our next segment here, we're going to talk to Tony Marinaro out in Montreal. Get a little glimpse into the Habs. Maybe Dusty will listen and hear about his favorite team. But we'll be right back. Here is Zachticum with a sports update.
The Oilers return goaltender Nathaniel Day and forward Connor Clattenburg to the Flint Firebirds, with forward Michael Nickel to the London Knights and Dallin Wakely to the North Bay Battalion. The Oilers are back at it tomorrow at 6 against the Jets. Tonight, 8 games are on tap with the Maple Leafs and Senators. The Devils meeting the Canadiens and the Capitals against the Bruins. 6 of the 8 games start at 5 o'clock. The Carolina Panthers place veteran wide receiver Adam Thielen on injury reserve. Thielen has 1 touchdown on 8 receptions, recording 109 yards this season. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel says QB Skylar Thompson is day-to-day with a chest injury. McDaniel says that QB Tyler Huntley has the possibility to start against the Titans on Monday. It's Jays taking on the Red Sox today after losing 4-1 yesterday. First pitch is just after 5, and other action sees the Rays against the Tigers, Brewers, and the Pirates, as well as the Cubs against the Phillies. And right now, the Tigers are up 2-0 at the top of the 6th. Just after the break, EST Afternoons continues with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage. I'm Zachary Kubusch for your EST update.
If you've been injured in a car collision, let James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, protect your interests. They'll be there every step of the way to help answer your questions and help you get your life back on track. Trust Alberta's precedent-setting injury lawyers with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, call James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, 780-428-0088, or go to jameshbrown.com.
Why tee off at the Ranch Golf and Country Club?
A fun, unique layout offering premier conditions. The Ranch has been ranked as one of the top public courses in Canada.
Unmatched value. Score Golf Magazine rated the Ranch as the best value in Edmonton.
The service, from tournaments to special events to the pro shop. Superior service that makes every visit exceptional.
The Ranch Golf and Country Club, a laid-back environment where anyone can enjoy an amazing day on the fairways. For details, visit theranchgolf.com.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching the button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki as newborn 8-pound, 6-ounce Mitch Lewicki. You can picture grown-up Mitch, or teenage Mitch, or bearded Mitch, or whoever you want.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.com.
back in the William Huff studios. Like Dusty says, if you want your place looking good as ours, contact William Huff. I can't wait, actually. They're coming in to redo the wall in here and make it look all snazzy because some of the logos are down low. You can't really see them. Yeah, it's going to pop, as they say in the biz. I may even look to get my car wrapped. Get me and Hernan on the face of my car. That'd be all right, buddy.
I don't think you want that.
Oh, well, I'll put mine as big. I'll put you in the background. We got Tony Marinaro coming up. I think he's almost ready here, talking a little bit about the Habs. Can't wait to talk about this because they're kind of a team on the rise. So this will be interesting. Tony, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome, Tony. Thanks for joining us today on EST Afternoons. Talking a little bit Montreal Canadiens. Just to get a little bit of a background, obviously we know the big signing with Patrick Laine looked pretty good last night. What have been some of the main storylines coming out of Montreal through camp so far?
Well, one obviously has been the acquisition of Patrick Laine, like you just mentioned. It's not every day you get to land a player who has scored over 30 goals and over 40 goals in the National Hockey League. Of course, by now everyone knows his story. He hasn't played a game in 9 months. He was in the Players Assistance Program. He's looking for a fresh start. He got it in Montreal. The Canadiens acquired Laine and a second-round pick in exchange for Jordan Harris, who was a depth defenseman on the team, and he wasn't going to crack the top six anyway. It's pretty cool that they're able to land a second-round pick on top of that. On the flip side, it's not everyone in the National Hockey League that was willing to take on Laine's salary of $8.7 million over the next couple of years. But, they've already put him on a line with Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook. It looks like that's going to be the line that's going to start the season together. It's a line that I think has a lot of potential. It's got a lot of real good ingredients. That's one story. The other story is, another year together for Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, and Juraj Slafkovsky. They all had really good years last year. Suzuki scored a career-high 28 goals. Caulfield scored a career-high 28 goals. Suzuki scored a career-high 33 goals and a career-high 77 points. Juraj Slafkovsky had his best season in the National Hockey League in just his second season, 20 goals, 36, 50 points. And in the process became only the second Montreal Canadian ever to pick up 20-plus goals, 30-plus assists, 50-plus points under the age of 20. The other guy who did it was Guy Lafleur, pretty good company. And other than that, Lane Hudson, who played the final 2 games of the regular season last year, was coming to camp, and every time he picks up the puck, he puts on a show. And last night, the one guy who really stood out was Oliver Kapanen, a former second-round pick, a guy who was playing in Finland last year. Olli Jokinen's his coach in Sweden this year with Timrå. And if he doesn't make the National Hockey League, he'll go back to play in Sweden. But last night, he looked like a really good NHL player. But it's preseason.
Hey, Tony, Hernan here. You were just talking about Oliver Kapanen and Lane Hudson. Lane's probably closer. He's probably going to be on the team. How close is Kapanen? Is there room for young guys on this Montreal Canadiens roster?
Well, there's room if there wouldn't be contracts. Now, obviously, in the 3-hole, you have Christian Dvorak, who's in the final year of his contract. If I were a betting man, I would bet that he's going to get moved before the trade deadline. But now the big question is, do they try and precipitate things and try and trade him right away? I don't think they will. I know the fan base is calling for Kapanen to start in the National Hockey League. I wouldn't be shocked if he does. But if I were a betting man, I would probably say that he'll play one year in Sweden, and they'll move Dvorak, and then he'll come over next year. But I wouldn't be shocked if he makes the team.
Tony Marinaro with us from the Sick Podcast. Tony, a lot of people out here in Edmonton know the name of Kirby Dach. Great kid, unfortunately injured last season. How's he looking so far, and where does he fit into this lineup too? What is Martin St. Louis kind of looking from him to do this season?
Well, he played the first preseason game last night. He's still a little rusty. coming back after 11-month hiatus because he was injured in game 2 of the season last year in period number 4. ACL injury was a bad one. And here's a guy who's been unlucky for most of his career when it comes to injuries. But if he's healthy, he's going to be the second-line center. There's no doubt about it. And when Doc is healthy, he's a big part of the Canadiens. I really do think that he can play his best hockey as a Montreal Canadian. But once again, staying healthy has been his biggest challenge. But if he stays healthy, I think Marty St. Louis will be patient with Doc, Laine, and Newhook. And once again, they're a little rusty. It'll take them a while to hit their stride. But when they do, I think they could be a line to be reckoned with.
Tony, looking between the pipes, it's going to be Sam Montembeault and Caden Primo. How is that duo? What's the expectation of that duo? Is there a confidence in those two guys to kind of take over for this team and run with it?
Primo, I'm not so sure. Pierre LeBrun has mentioned that the Canadiens took a run at Askarov, but weren't able to acquire him because the Nashville Predators were asking for goalie prospect Jacob Fowler. And I can understand the Canadiens not doing it. Montembeault, they picked him up off of waivers several years ago. His progression has been really, really good. I don't think, Primo's going to... Can Primo become a Montembeault in a couple of years? Maybe. But when I hear that they're going there or they went after Askarov, leads me to believe that Primo's not in their plans. Montembeault is primed to have a good year. It's the Four Nations Cup coming up. He wants to impress. He knows that it's going to be, he could play for Canada also the year after that. So he wants to have a good season. But I saw Primo last night, and although he made some big saves and Philly didn't score, he's still a little bit uncertain of himself and looking behind him on a couple of occasions. So, I think he has the potential to be good, but he still has a lot to prove.
Tony, I mean, it's been the Montreal Canadiens have been considered a young team on the rise the last few years. Now, like we mentioned, with a bona fide goal scorer with Patrick Laine. What are the expectations of this team? Is this a team pushing for a playoff spot? Are they kind of knocking on that door for a wild card? Where do you see them in a tough division by the end of the year?
So their line throughout since the golf tournament, which was a couple of weeks ago, their line in the last couple of weeks has been we want to be in the mix. We want to, after trade deadline, play some meaningful games, which is an interesting thing to say because contracts coming up, Dvorak, Armia, to name a couple. And if you're going to be in David Savard, if you're going to be in the mix, come trade deadline, you're probably not going to be a seller, you're going to be a buyer. Several players on this team want them to start being a buyer instead of being a seller. But at the same time, you don't want to see assets walk away at the end of the season for nothing. I think them saying that they want to be in the mix is realistic. I think their goal is to make the playoffs, but they don't want to say it to put extra pressure on anybody. They don't want to set the bar too high, not on the record anyway. I think internally inside that locker room, they tell each other that they're going to try and make the playoffs this year for sure. But I think being in the mix is realistic. They finished with 76 points last year. Kirby Dach missed every game but one. Alex Newhook was hurt for like 2.5 to 3 months. Christian Dvorak was hurt for over 3 months. Caden Gooley was hurt for like 4 or 5 games. David Savard was hurt for like 6 weeks. Jake Evans was their second-line centerman for about 2 months or so last year. He's usually a fourth-line centerman. They had so many injuries. Now they're healthy. They got Patrick Laine and possibly Lane Hudson to start the season in Montreal. And their core players, Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky, Doc, they're all 19, Caden Gooley, to 25 years old. The core is young. It's got another year of experience under their belts. They're all expected to be better And if you think that this team could pick up one win more per month and an overtime loss in April, because April's half a month, so you calculate 1 point in April, 2 extra points in October, November, December, January, February, and March, they go from 76 to 89. 91 points made the playoffs last year. I think they'll be in the mix.
One last one for you here, Tony. You mentioned they want to be buyers at the deadline. Out here in Edmonton, we can kind of predict where the Edmonton Oilers would be looking at that, at the end of the year before to make that push for the playoffs. If you had a crystal ball, where would you predict that the Montreal Canadiens would be buyers? What would they be looking for?
Well, their top 2 lines are set, I think. And if they're not set now, they will be next year. When Ivan Demidov comes over from the KHL, he'll slot in on the second line. Nowak will slot in the third line at that point, you'd have to think. I think a goalie. I think a goalie is realistic. And maybe a right-handed defenseman. David Savard's there on the second pairing, right-handed defenseman. And like I said, he might be moved. Caden Gooley moved over from the left side to play the right. And what they have left on the right after that's going to be Mayu, Reinbacher, and Barron. Who knows if any of them are ready. So I would say a goalie and a right-handed defenseman, if they were buyers.
God, those right-handed defensemen, they're like unicorns, aren't they? They're just, everyone hears about them, but you just don't see them very much. Tony Marinaro, thank you so much from the Sick Podcast for joining us today. Hopefully we can meet up down the line and talk a little bit more Habs and maybe an Oilers game leading up to it.
I hope so. My voice is a little hoarse, so I'm sorry about that. I hope it to be in better shape next time.
Oh, you sound perfect. Thanks, Tony. That was Tony Marinaro from the Sick Podcast. Very interesting. Just going over the Canadiens. Like they're one of those teams that's really on the cusp, I think. Like he says, the top 6 are set. I knew they were injured. I knew there was a lot of injuries, but when he laid out how many man games they lost, that's crazy, Hernan.
Yeah, great breakdown. I always love trying to get Tony on. He's a busy guy, but when he does, because you heard the break, he had the points down to every month they need to get into the playoffs. I love Kirby Dach. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think when Chicago moved him, I couldn't believe it. Slavkovsky looks like he's becoming a player. And they got something there. I'm a little concerned, like you said, the back end of their defense and between the pipes, Gager. I think that's where the big question is going to be. Sam Montembold has been good, but is he the guy that can kind of turn this around for them? And he already said that Caden Premio is kind of up and down. So for me, it's the defense and the goaltending. But if you look at their forward group, they got some interesting players. And I think he said also that Dvorak, they might move out. Josh Anderson's a guy that here in Edmonton, every trade deadline, Oiler fans are like, go get him. He's been on the down. I know he changed some things in the offseason. He was watching a lot more film on himself. He's trying to bounce back, but it's a team that I think can push for a wild card.
Yeah, look, if there's any team that's been spoiled by goaltending over the last few decades, it's the Montreal Canadiens. Like, and those are just massive shoes to fill. That Carey Price, it's. You look and you see LTIR for another 2 years, and he's done. But I mean, he was like watching poetry in net. His ability to cover up mistakes of a team, right? I mean, if they had Carey Price on that team, you have to say they're a playoff team right then and there. Right? It's a no-brainer, I think. You mentioned goaltending is probably the position, and Tony said it. Like if they're buyers at the deadline, like if they're pushing for that spot, they're probably looking for at that point to solidify right side defenseman like everyone else. But goaltending is still kind of that question mark with the play of Caden Primo. So yeah, I mean. I always think the more Canadian teams in the playoff picture, the better. It's just a case if they can stay healthy, And like Tony said, another point, a couple points a month. That's we were probably looking at a team knocking on that wild card window.
And I love Marty St. Louis because he's a motivator too. Like he gets the boys going, and they'll run through a wall for him. What was I gonna? So I was just looking at their depth chart. I mean, you still have the vets like Gallagher, Armia on your fourth line. I think they are going to be right there in the mix. And the league's just better, Gager, when they're good, when they're pushing. And you see when they come here to Edmonton, man, the fans, the buzz in the arena, it's just like when Toronto does. It's great. So I really hope the Montreal Canadiens take a step forward this season because they're a fun team. And I hope Patrick Laine has a bounce back because that guy's Gager, when we started Two Guys and a Goalie, we were talking about this guy like an elite goal scorer, because he was, and he's just fallen off, and he went to better himself into the league program and all that. So wish him all the best. Hopefully he can have a bounce back year there. But Gager, I think next segment we got to talk about it. We got some messages in the Nasty chat from KD and another McFan. MBT looks like he's starting. Well, it doesn't look like he's taking first-team reps down at practice today. We'll get into all that because, man, there's good arguments to have on both sides of this one here with 4 games left and the playoffs still there for the taking for the Edmonton Elks.
You betcha, buddy. So let's get to it. After the break, we're going to get into a little bit of the Elks quarterback situation with Hernan Salas and myself, Joaquin Gage. But before that, here is Zach with a sports update.
The Oilers return goaltender Nathaniel Day and forward Connor Clattenburg to the Flint Firebirds, while sending forward William Nickel to the London Knights and Galen Wakely to the North Bay Battalion. The Oilers are back in action tomorrow at 6 p.m. against the Jets. Tonight, 8 games are on tap with the Maple Leafs against the Senators, the Devils meeting the Canadiens, and the Capitals against the Bruins. 6 of those 8 games start at 5. As per Farhan Lalji, McLeod Bethel-Thompson is expected to start for the Edmonton Elks. MBT replaced Trey Ford during the fourth quarter in Saturday's loss against the Blue Bombers and has over 3,000 yards with 14 touchdowns and 9 interceptions in 14 games this season. The Carolina Panthers placed wide receiver Adam Thielen on injury reserve. Thielen has 1 touchdown and on 8 receptions, recording 109 yards this season. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel says QB Skylar Thompson is day-to-day with a chest injury. McDaniel said that QB Tyler Huntley has the possibility to start against the Titans on Monday. Tonight it's the Jays against the Red Sox at 5:07. But right now we got some action in the MLB as well with the Rays against the Tigers. The Tigers lead 2-0 at the end of the 7th. Just after the break, Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage continue here on EST Afternoons. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and that was your Edmonton Sports Talk update.
Come get your game on at The Ranch. The Ranch lets it all hang out with a championship caliber design, premier conditions, and above all, a fun laid-back experience. Get top-notch service and unmatched value every time you play at The Ranch. Think you have what it takes to go low? The best value for your golfing buck is always The Ranch. The Ranch Golf and Country Club. 10, 50, 100, and 200 round packs on sale. TheRanchGolf.com.
Celebrate the grand opening of Sit and Sleep and discover a revolutionary way to shop for mattresses. Stop in today for a free pressure point scan using cutting-edge technology so sleepologists can identify the perfect mattress for you. Right now, you'll get free local delivery on any mattress over $5.99 and receive a bamboo cooling mattress protector. Get grand opening savings now with every mattress on sale. Join us on location today for the celebrations at Sit and Sleep in South Common next to Planet Fitness.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
.145 back in the William Huff Studios. I guess I'm your host, Joaquin Gage, joined spiritually by Hernan Salas from the void, from what it looks like. Wow, that was I'm constantly thinking about the Canadians and Zach and I were just saying the loss of man games. That's interesting to me because you add those players back in. I think it's a whole different story for them. And, a lot of experience on that side. But, I'm definitely going to be watching them going into this year. But that's it for them. Enough Canadians talk. Let's get to what really matters, Hernan. And that's the announcement that McLeod Bethel-Thompson is taking first snaps at practice day. Looks like he's going to be the starter this weekend. Where do you stand? Where do you come out on the decision to go with MBT?
Yeah, this one's interesting. I think I flip-flop every day thinking about it. I'm not surprised, I'll be honest. I 4 games left. He was playing well going into the Winnipeg game before they announced Trey as a starter. I hope that if it's MBT the rest of the way. Stop going and flip-flopping back and forth. If this is your guy, he's your guy. Plain and simple. But on the flip side, I'm seeing a lot of ex-beefs. Well, not beefs. It's just conversation about the topic and where should one bad game take you out of the starter spot?
Good question. I mean, I think it all depends on the situation of where the team is. And look, the Edmonton Elks are fighting for a playoff spot. So I don't think they're still in the mix. If there was a real long shot here, which I think they can still challenge for this. They can still get into the playoffs. I think you got to go with your best guy. And I know MBT was playing well going into the bye week, and it was announced that Trey Ford was going to play. We were talking about it with 2 guys today, and Cass was making some good points. I think Dusty said he's sitting right on the fence with this decision. But Cass made a point where that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers implemented a defensive structure to make it very difficult for Trey Ford to have success. And I think they did it well and they executed it properly. But I also have the belief that was by no means Trey Ford's best performance. If that's the best Trey Ford, then yeah, MBT all the way. But I think that there was we were discussing, I think the turnovers, the first turnover, the fumble, and just things just didn't go right for him. I think there's a lot more from Trey Ford. I want to see Trey Ford's best against the best Winnipeg Blue Bombers defense and see what happens in that case, because there's a little bit of creativity. Now, on the other side of that, you saw that how once MBT did go into the game, how the defensive structure changed from the Blue Bombers. And you do have a veteran quarterback that, by all accounts, fits good in the pocket, delivers the ball in a timely manner, and there is something that, does he give you the better chance to beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at this point of the season? I to tell you the truth, Hernan, I don't know. I just think that that X factor of Trey being able to scramble at times. But yeah, I think I still go with Trey Ford if I'm coach. I want to see what I have with him. I want him to get out of what he's got and go with him the rest of the way. That's what I'm doing. But we'll see. This is a huge game. But if you are going to go with MBT, like you said, buddy, this is what you do the rest of the way. You've made your bed, sleep in it.
Well, it's yeah. Because let's say MBT has it's another bad half in Winnipeg. You're not seriously going to go to Trey, because at that point I think Trey wouldn't be like, come on, man, just stick with the guy. You know what I mean? It's I'm kind of with Dusty. I'm not I understand it. I understand why they're going with the MBT. I understand why they would have went if they would have picked Trey. I understand every angle of this. I'm just. A lot of people on the X are making good points on why it should be Trey. And listen, you're looking down the future. MBT's probably not going to be here next year. You're not going to go out and get Vernon Adams Jr. Why? He's an older quarterback. You're going to break the bank for him. He can't stay healthy. They got to stop doing that. You have a guy here, and you need to know if he's your guy. And right now, I thought Reed had a great segment on him yesterday. Is he great, good, or just okay? And we still don't know that. And he's shown glimpses. He's had one bad game. Every other quarter he's played in this season, he's been fantastic, Gage. Fantastic. And this is so, yeah, I'm a little torn on this one. It's for great debate. I know the fans some are okay with it, some are upset. KD on the Nasty Chat says MBT starting is a complete joke. I have zero reason what this organization has against Ford. And before you say MBT has been better than Ford this year, look up the stats, please. I don't think either of us are saying that. I think both guys have played really well in certain games. And both guys have had bad games. That's fair. Another McFan says, I feel there may be personal issues with Trey and the coaching staff, especially after hearing him say in one of his interviews that he did not know what the coaching staff thought of him. That's a problem. I remember that one, and that was more towards Chris Jones, Gager. And then Dawson Nielsen says, how much better is Trey Ford than MBT? I think it's peanuts. Come on. And again, this is a staff that wants to go with a vet, and I understand it from that point of view, and a guy that's won big games. And I just hope they ride it out with MBT now, because you can't keep flip-flopping. It's just not good for the team because both guys are so different, right?
Yeah.
So different. So now Winnipeg's going to plan for MBT, who's more of a pocket guy, so now they can pin their ears back and just go at him. But I'm intrigued if there's struggles on Friday. What are you going to do? Brett B says, if MBT and Trey Ford are basically the same, then why aren't you going with the QB of the future? And again, maybe the coaching staff is not thinking about the future. They're thinking about the next 4 games and hopefully a playoff game. And you got to understand it from that end as well. So, Gager, this is one of the hottest debates we've had in this city in a while.
Yeah, man. Bethel Thompson sits 3rd in the CFL in overall passing yards, 4th in interceptions. Let's face it, one of the main reasons for the loss was they weren't protecting the ball. Turnovers were huge, right? We had Aaron Grimes on yesterday talking about how making sure that the Winnipeg Bull Bombers offense doesn't get rolling in the 4th quarter, right? How would you implement the defensive structure to make? It was really good, right? Would there be any changes to how you would play defense against this Winnipeg Blue Bomber team? Because really, the only reason that the Elks had a chance at this point was the play of their defense until the 4th quarter.
Yeah, I think defensively they're fine. I think the big thing is the offense. And just another note, looks like Justin Rankin, who went off for about 150 plus on that game, he's taking number 1 reps at running back. So that means Kevin Brown's going to be the number 2. And Javon Leake did not practice today, Gager. So not only one big move, but 2 big moves in the offense. And Justin Rankin, sure, he's earned it. He's looked fantastic every time he touches the ball. Well, it's a little bit different when you're the main guy, though, Gager, out there every play. So I'm intrigued to see how he responds. He's a great kid. But, yeah, I think the Elks defensively, outside of maybe planning to find a way to stop Oliveira when he gets rolling, sure. But I think they were fine. But the quarterback questions, it's going to be the biggest one going into that game. Because where did this one go? KD says, what I'm saying is if they lose with McLeod, Bethel, Thompson this weekend, it's a big, big problem to have. Because what do you do next game? And that's why I'm saying whoever you picked for this game is your guy for the remaining 4 games, Gager. I don't care how bad they are.
No, yeah, you have to pick your guy. There's something to it. Especially they are close. Although Trey is I guess if they lose, they make it very difficult on themselves. I guess you're looking at that. You're cheering for Ottawa at that next game, and hopefully you can. I think they're kind of in must-win territory here, Hernan. They gotta have this game. And going into a place where I think you mentioned that they've lost the previous 11 or 13 times in Winnipeg. I think I said they're due. So there's definitely that. But you've been there, not an easy place to play. Maybe that's why you're seeing the veteran QB go into a hostile environment, being able to maybe shrug it off a little bit easier and have the type of a calming performance at quarterback. I think is crucial, especially because of the way that the defense played last game.
Yeah, so if Saskatchewan wins this weekend and say the Elks lose, now you're 5 points behind with 3 games left. It's still a long shot, but Gager, that's where my point is say the Elks there's 2 games left and they're pretty much done. They can't make the playoffs. What do you do then? Do you go to Trey and say, well, you're a quarterback now because we're out? There's so many intangibles here that it's just I understand why you want to go with a veteran, and I also understand the people that want to go with Trey. I do, and I think I'm right on the line right now. I don't know which way to sway because I get both. You do want to make the playoffs this year. This city needs it. This organization needs it.
It's fascinating because that type of situation, if it gets to the point where if they're out. 2 games left, and then you're telling Trey Ford, okay, you're going to go mop up the rest of the season at that point.
Yeah.
And it's a little. You have to be a professional at that point. You have to finish the season strong. But in the back of your mind, you're probably thinking that's a little bit of a slap in the face, right? Like, why didn't you pick me before? I wanted to be able to help the team. Unfortunately, there's not 2 quarterback positions, but I'm with you, man. I think you gotta stick with one at this point. It's too crucial. You have to make that decision now. It's probably going to be MBT the rest of the season here. Whether that's the smartest thing to do for the future, winning cures everything, I guess, right? But I don't think if they do manage to pull out a victory in Winnipeg, I still think we might see Trey Ford at some point the rest of the season.
Yeah, Katie says, and I feel like she wants me to emphasize it, he had 1 bad game.
Yeah.
It's not like it was a stretch of 5, and he wasn't 0-7 to start. He wasn't 0-9 like last year. He's won games for this team. Like, he played 1 bad game, and I get it. And it was a very bad game, Gager. We talked about it on Monday. Duck Dad says, just go with the QB that they think gives them the best chance to score a TD on any given drive. I don't even know how to manage this. Brett B says, MBT will probably be fine, but Trey Ford's upside is much higher. Big picture, I don't know if MBT even gets it done in the playoffs. Did he not get yanked in Toronto during the Grey Cup? He got hurt, actually. He did not get yanked. He got hurt. And this one for me, Gage, I know both guys. Both guys are great people, great to work with, true professionals. So it's tough for me to be on one side or the other. I just want the team to win at this point, and they have to win on Friday because if not, that runway, like you talked about on Monday, continues to get shorter and shorter. So it's a great debate. The Nasty Chat is buzzing, Gager, right now with Trey Ford and McLeod Bethel Thompson. And we knew this was going to come. No matter which way it went, it was going to be up for discussion. And it's a great one because both guys are good quarterbacks. One's an older guy. One's a young guy still finding his groove. And one guy, you kind of know what to expect. But who's going to win that game on Friday? And I think that's where the staff went and said, let's go with the veteran. And we'll see what happens in that game. So we got to go to break.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. But, yeah, that's great. After the break, we're going to get into a little bit of the Monday Nighters and go into one was good, one was terrible. Here's Zach with a sports update.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Few of us can say that we're over 60 and still hot, but Mr. Mike's Burger can. And to celebrate over 60 years of Mr. Mike's famous burger, you're invited to taste history for only $8.99 at Mike Burger Madness. Savor the original flame-grilled Mike Burger on their signature garlic French loaf for a limited time. Dine-in only price of just $8.99. Sides extra. It's Mr. Mike's Mike Burger Madness, and you'd be mad to miss it. Offer ends September 30th. Eat locally, enjoy casually.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. Oilers and Elks, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the association, Formula One, soccer, golf, oh sweet mama! The excitement is palatable on Edmonton Sports Talk. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website and send a message at edmontonsportstalk.com.
The Oilers have sent goaltender Nathaniel Day and forward Connor Clattenburg back to the Flint Firebirds. William Nickel heads to the London Knights and Dallin Wakely to the North Bay Battalion. The Oilers are back in action tomorrow at 6 against the Jets. Tonight, 8 games are on tap with the Maple Leafs and the Senators. The Devils meet the Canadiens and the Capitals face off against the Bruins. 6 of those 8 games start at 5 o'clock. McLeod Bethel Thompson is expected to get the start for the Edmonton Elks in this upcoming game against the Blue Bombers. MBT replaced Trey Ford during the fourth quarter in Saturday's loss against Winnipeg and has over 3,000 yards with 14 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in 14 games this season. It's Jays and Red Sox tonight. After the Jays lost 4-1 yesterday, first pitch is just after 5. Other action sees the Rays against the Tigers, Brewers, and the Pirates, as well as the Cubs against the Phillies. The Tigers did just win against the Rays 2-1. The next game up is the Brewers and the Pirates at 4:40. And it's Caitlin Clark and her Indiana Fever in the WNBA playoffs taking on the New York Liberty. Tip-off is at 5:30. And right now, you're listening to EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
Welcome back to the show. EST Afternoons with Joaquin Gage. That's me. And Hernan Salas. Zachticum, man on the board behind, doing a great job. Thanks, Zach. Making it very easy on me. This is my first hosting gig. So thanks for joining us. I'm not sure about the thumbs up. I haven't looked at this. What are we at, Zach?
Let me update you.
Oh, you put me on the spot.
We're at 39. Dougie Wait.
Brennan's got it. 39. Dougie Wait. That's good. Just for the first Joaquin Gage hosting gig, maybe we can get to 50. I think we got another hour.
Oh yeah,
we can probably get there. We'd appreciate it. And if you can, go to your neighbor's house, go onto their YouTube account, hit subscribe, thumbs up. Always helps the station too. I saw something in the chat. Waddy and Cloverdale. We had that horse. All gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
Waddy and Cloverdale. Speaking of all gas, no brakes, Gager, he was an easy winner last night at Woodbine Mohawk Park. I am so disappointed in myself. Zach, how do you not bet on that horse?
I don't know. I saw it on Twitter. You brought it up during the show, and now I feel bad. Like I was jokingly said that I'd put money on it, and I don't bet on the ponies, so it's kind of like just closing my eyes and throwing the dart at the board. So, that's good. But with all gas, no brakes, though.
How do you not?
I should have. Yeah. Like, what? Do you know what the odds were on that horse?
I don't know. Waddy and Cloverdale, if you're still listening, show us the odds on that race or what it was to win, just to win, and then we'll.
So initially he was 6-1, which is pretty good.
Oh, was he? Okay.
But
that is
those
pretty
can
good.
change. But those are like pre-race odds, so they switch while everybody's betting live, right? So.
Right, I forgot you were a degenerate that worked at the track all those years ago.
Waddy and Cloverdale, next time this horse races, let us know, and the three of us will do a nice little bet on it. I know how to do it online. All right?
That'll be good.
Hey, I just want to update quickly. This is coming from Dave Campbell down at Elks practice. Jarius Jackson just spoke, and this is from Dave Campbell. Says Jackson says he felt Trey Ford's play was too inconsistent with turnovers and execution on Saturday. He feels he's been fair to both quarterbacks, whether their play has been up and down. He says he feels MBT has been the more consistent quarterback and gives the Elks the best chance to win.
Hard to argue, right, with the recent play of MBT. But yeah, you think you can maybe. I thought Trey would work himself out of it come the second half of that game. Didn't happen. I understand the coaching move, but to me, that really keeps the door open, right? If things aren't going well, you could see Trey Ford. I think the leash isn't as long as you think.
And again, we don't know the communication. We don't know what's been discussed. We don't know, maybe it was done really well. Like, we don't know that, Gager. We can assume all we want. I'm sure a starting quarterback that gets replaced is never happy. I wouldn't expect any quarterback to be happy when he's replaced as a starter. So let's just see what they do Friday. I mean, take it one game at a time, and hopefully MBT can spark that like he did in the Labor Day series and go from there. I mean, to think about the offseason and what Trey's going to do and all that, like, there's no point in thinking about that and getting upset. There's still 4 games to go, and let's hope the Elks can win at least 3 of those to give themselves a chance to go to the playoffs.
Exactly. Well, let's go south of the border last night, Hernan, and have a look at some of the games. Obviously, like I mentioned before, one good game to watch. One was just a complete blowout. Let's go to the Bills Jacksonville game first. Josh Allen just making it look very easy. He looked like a video game at times, and his overall rating was 99, and he's playing chess, and everyone else is playing checkers.
Yeah, no, that was impressive. Keon Coleman with his first touchdown of his career as well. I guess he got sat out the first quarter or the first couple plays because he was late for a meeting or whatever. So yeah, but I think the more impressive part was not so much like Josh Allen and all that. It was great to watch. 4 TDs. It was 34-3 at the half, Gager.
Yeah.
Is how bad Jacksonville is, man. Like the what does Dusty call him? The investment? Holy. So let me give you some numbers here. He has 61 turnovers since entering the NFL. He signed a 5-year deal worth $55 million this year with Jacksonville. He is now, what is it? It's been 302 days, 3 days short of 10 months since Jacksonville has won a game with Trevor Lawerence at quarterback. Their last win was on November 26, 2023. It's his 8th straight loss. 3 this year, 5, the last 5 last year. Like, this guy is like, are we talking about, I'm not saying bust, but maybe did we overrate him a bit here?
Well, it was, and we had to make the correction the other day. I think I said Syracuse, but it was Clemson his freshman year, and this kid was just a stud, and he was dismantling defenses. It was very impressive on his way to a national championship. And then, I had interest, and this is kind of why we'll get to the other game in a sec, but Joe Burrow became my guy. Just the way that he approached that national game and just completely took it over. And I was shocked because I wasn't too informed about college ball at that time, but he really put an impression on me. Trevor Lawerence, man, it feels like you're just kind of waiting for this guy to pop, but maybe he's already popped. There's not a lot of excitement there. You mentioned the turnovers. You want your guy to make a difference, and when you talk about Trevor Lawerence, you think you're going to be talking about the one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, and when last night you see what Josh Allen is capable of doing, there was no comparison. I mean, we've been talking about quarterbacks for the better part of 45 minutes here, and the discrepancies between the two is there's a cavern in between Trevor Lawerence and Josh Allen right now.
It's not close. And you've committed to the guy, and he's shown he can be a top passer in this league. We've seen it, but man, that was just so bad. A little bit embarrassing. I know Jags fans were asking for fire the coach at halftime, fire them after the game, change all this, change all that. But man, when you sign him to that kind of deal, you got to roll with this guy. And hopefully he can figure it out. I think he's got some pretty good weapons alongside him, Gager, but it's just blown away by those numbers that I'm seeing regarding Trevor Lawerence. And there's the experts on Twitter that followed him in college and kind of said this is the quarterback he'd be in the NFL. So they're kind of soaking it all in because they were right. The second game, though, a lot of good, a lot of bad. I'll go with Jaden Daniels first, though. What a performance for the young man. His coming out party, 2 touchdowns. The second one was an absolute beauty. And the one he ran in, Gage, I don't know if you saw it, was like an RPO, like a fake handoff. There was 2 defenders on the Bengals that bit so hard. He pretty much could have walked in. He could have moonwalked in. That's how good that fake was. But good on the Commanders. I'm happy for our guy, Jay Milne. It looks like they got a young and an exciting quarterback. They got some ballers there. But on the flip side, 0-3 for the Bengals. I did not see that coming.
Well, it's getting a little annoying with Jay. He came in doing the Heisman stuff. Every step he's doing the Heisman right now with his Commanders winning. I wanted to ask you just back to the Bills for a second.
Yeah.
So, Josh Allen was saying after the game that it's so nice to be on a team that they don't care about the stats anymore, and it doesn't matter who scores. Do you think that this just by your leader, your quarterback saying that, is this a different Bills team? Could they possibly I'd love to see them in KC again in the finals, but
conference
finals. But is this a year that the Bills can maybe get back to the Super Bowl? Do you think?
I think that's they call that maturation, and we saw it here kind of with the Oilers, the maturation. Like you have to lose a lot and get your heart broken and go through some tough lessons to learn that. And for him to say like it's no one cares about the stats, I think that's a huge step because now it's like let's just go out and win games. Yeah. I don't care who scores a touchdown. They had 4 different guys score touchdowns yesterday, Gager. Like no one's bigger than anyone else on the team, and he just seems like a really good leader in that sense. So yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Josh Allen was fantastic. I think he's going to continue to be fantastic, and I do. If you're telling me anyone can take down the Chiefs, I'm on board. I'll even jump on the Buffalo Bills bandwagon, baby.
Bengals 0-3. Good game yesterday, obviously, but just couldn't get it done. Burrow looked a lot better. Some of the passes he made to Jamar Chase, unreal. The chemistry that those two guys have. Are the Bengals able to turn this around this year? What's going on with this team?
Yeah, you know what it seems like? Like they always show clips of the bench, and it just seems like especially the offense, they're not together, man. Like everybody's just doing their own thing, sitting by themselves. Like I saw a little bit of that, and he had some words with Chase, but I think they were just talking about a play. I don't think it was anything bad, but I don't know. And then he was talking to the coach, and it's just one of those things where we all thought Joe Burrow, after he went to the Super Bowl, lost, that this team would keep progressing. But then with the Jamar Chase stuff, with the contract, and T. Higgins been out injured, he returned yesterday. The defense is not very good, Gager. Let's just call a spade here. But can they turn it around? I'm trying to look up right now who they got next because they might not be able to. So Cincinnati, they're in Carolina to take on Andy Dalton and the Panthers. How about that? You don't win that one.
I don't. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit more. On the other side, Jaden Daniels. Again, I think Jay Milne is hopping around here with his performance, but this was kind of my first look at him. He looked really, really good last night.
Great kid, humble as you can be in his post game, and just he's showing that he can make all the throws, and he's a danger to run. They got some nice weapons there, so it's a fun, exciting team. I like their coach. He's like laughing it up on the sidelines. So good on the Commanders here, Gager. I know the EST parlay that Dusty does in the morning. I know we hit 2 of them, but we had the Bengals win. So I was like, damn it. The Coolbet account is at 0 for Hernan. Are you in that poker thing today with Huss?
Unfortunately, I got work to do. I can't. It's not all fun and games with me, Hernan. All these card games, and I'm terrible at poker too. I think I've got the best hand, and it's usually 2 2s and a 4, and I think I got people. And terrible poker face, just awful. Your Niners going up against the Patriots. That's
just chalk it up. It's a W already.
Oh, I don't know, man.
I heard about that.
McCaffrey's in Germany getting surgery right now.
So this is turning into like a long-term thing, Gager. You're not going to Germany to see a specialist if it's not long-term.
I wonder what it actually is, because it's calf Achilles related that his injury is.
Achilles tendonitis is what he's going to Germany for.
Okay. I was I don't know, man. There was some when I played in Germany. There was some. There was one. They said I had a hernia, and it wasn't a hernia. I blew my groin apart, right? And so we actually had a MRI machine at in the town that I played, and we went to go take a picture of it, and you could see it. It was all like a little graphic, but it was blood all in the muscle, right? You could see that I tore it all the way down. And we went down to Munich, and I don't know, this doctor, she had so many diamonds on her hands, and she put like this fake thing on my leg and said, "Yep, it's a hernia." And I'm like, "No, I ripped my groin." And she had me coming in for surgery like the next day, and I'm like, "I'm not having surgery with you. You're not listening to me before." And actually, I think a guy, Sean Brown went in there for hernia surgery from her. So he gave her money. I didn't. But I'm not too confident in German doctors. Let's just say that right now. I don't. Hopefully that he can get back and get back to rumbling, tumbling, stumbling. But I'm not too optimistic with your Niners this weekend, buddy. I might even sprinkle a little on New England.
On the Patriots?
I might. I don't trust them right now. I don't trust them. I think they're, with the amount of injuries and stuff, I don't know.
And their defense is pretty bad. And they should have won last week, and they absolutely blew it. Gregor says, is Joe Burrow the most overhyped QB in the NFL right now, or is the team around Burrow just that bad? He's still got some elite weapons there, so could it be play calling? Could it be something? And Dawson Nielsen says the Bengals bench looked like the Bills bench last year. That's a very good point. And our guy, Waddy, let's see what he says here. $20 bet, and Zach could have had $54 to spend.
It's like a week's salary for me.
He sent in the payouts. So yeah, for like if you had him as a winner, it was $5.40. So I wish I had the odds of what he finished at there. But anyways, that's enough. Enough pony talk. We'll be there. Hey, come down for Friday. Watch
Friday.
We'll
bet on some ponies Friday. But
at the Century Casino down there on Fort Road, the whole crew is going to be there. Come join us for some bevies, some good food, and some football action. I just want to read this one, Gage, before we get to break. Lars says on the McLeod, Bethel, Thompson, Trey Ford discussion. So the first 7 games when MBT was throwing interceptions in the red zone in the fourth quarters didn't warrant putting Ford in. Little too late, fellas. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, it's tough when you look, especially you would know better than anyone, Hernan. The beginning of the year, it seemed like there was so many opportunities to win some of those games. It just
3 walk-offs.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
And one more. Chris G says, Gager, I heard you were a sunshine boy.
Everyone knows it's been August 2001 in so many kitchens for the past couple decades, Hernan.
It's just up there.
I play the clarinet, enjoy long walks on the beach, and subtle poetry at night. We got to go to break. Here's Zach with a sports update.
The Oilers have sent Nathaniel Day, Connor Clattenburg, William Nickel, and Dallin Wakely back to junior. Preseason continues for the Oilers against the Jets tomorrow. Tonight, it's Maple Leafs and Senators, the Devils meeting the Canadiens, and the Caps against the Bruins. 6 of the 8 games on schedule start at 5 tonight. McLeod Bethel Thompson is expected to start this week for the Elks. The 36-year-old quarterback has 14 touchdowns and 9 interceptions in 14 games played this season. The Carolina Panthers have placed wide receiver Adam Thielen on the injury reserve. Thielen has 1 touchdown on 8 receptions so far this year. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel says QB Skylar Thompson is day-to-day with a chest injury. McDaniel says that QB Tyler Huntley has a possibility to start against the Titans on Monday. In the MLB, it's the Jays against the Red Sox. First pitch for that game goes just after 5. And other action sees the Brewers against the Pirates, the Cubs playing the Phillies, and the Dodgers meeting the Padres. Brewers-Padres start at 4:40. The WNBA playoffs roll on with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever taking on the New York Liberty. Tip-off for that game is at 5:30. And elsewhere, the Seattle Storm meet the Las Vegas Aces. That game is at 7:30. Just after the break, Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage continue here on EST Afternoons. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and that was your EST Update.
Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
You've always known GCL Diesel as the experts in diesel fuel systems, but did you know that GCL is also your source for turbochargers and turbo repair? As a turbo supplier for Garrett, Borg Warner, and Holset, GCL can provide genuine original equipment turbos at wholesale prices. Whether it's diesel, gas, natural gas, or performance, we can provide you with the turbo or custom repair you require. Turbo questions? We've got turbo answers. Visit us in the West End or online at GCLDiesel.com. GCL Diesel, turbochargers, understood.
Your brand deserves more than just a whisper, it deserves a buzz. At the Hive Product Marketing, they specialize in promotional products that bring the buzz. From eye-catching giveaways to unforgettable keepsakes, they got the perfect products to make your brand stand out and get noticed. Visit the Hive Product Marketing and let them create the buzz your business deserves. The Hive Product Marketing, the official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Visit them online at thehiveproductmarketing.com.
Come get your game on at The Ranch. The Ranch lets it all hang out with a championship caliber design, premier conditions, and above all, a fun laid-back experience. Get top-notch service and unmatched value every time you play at The Ranch. Think you have what it takes to go low? The best value for your golfing buck is always The Ranch. The Ranch Golf and Country Club. 10, 50, 100, and 200 round packs on sale. TheRanchGolf.com.
.225 back in the William Huff Studios. Thanks for joining myself, Hernan Salas, Zachary Kubusch on the EST afternoons every day, 1 to 3. Coming up on the show, we got Ken Boehlke talking a little Vegas Golden Knights. Not as bad as Zach wearing a Golden Knights hat, but we'll get a little insight into how camp's going there. I know there's Robin Lehner. There's a little bit of an issue there with him not showing up for camp. What's his status? And look, I've said it multiple times. When you do look at the Western Conference Final, I think there's a good possibility that Western Final with that the Oilers would meet up with the Vegas Golden Knights at some point. And it's a really good matchup, I think, with the Oilers forward group and the defense of the Vegas Golden Knights they're stacked. I think it's the best defensive core in the National Hockey League. These are going to be very interesting games, and I think provide some of the best hockey we'll probably see in a while.
Yeah, we're just waiting on Ken.
He's good to go. So Ken, are you with us?
Yeah, I got you. What's up?
Hey, Ken, thanks for joining us. My name is Joaquin Gage with EST Afternoons, joined with Hernan Salas. First question I have that we've been hearing about just in camp down in Vegas is the Robin Lehner status, and I know that it's been a touchy subject. Can you give us any more information of what's actually going on with that whole situation?
I mean, the best information I can give you is he's not coming. He didn't show up. So now the Golden Knights are exploring options of what happens if a player that they want to place on LTIR doesn't actually show up. Typically, the player will show up to camp, go through some sort of a procedure, physical, whatever, and then they say, well, this guy's not eligible to play. He's not going to be able to play. That didn't happen. So I guess they're trying to figure out what the next step is. There was some discussion about terminating the contract. Robin then came out and said everyone was well aware of why I wasn't there. We don't exactly know what that means. So for right now, it kind of just is up in the limbo. But as far as anyone should really be concerned, it's like he's not going to play, and his salary was really not going to make a difference for the Golden Knights one way or the other, because if he was injured, he'd have been an LTIR, and if they terminate the contract, it's basically like they just don't have to do the LTIR. I guess it could potentially earn them a few dollars over the course of the season by accruing cap, but it's fairly negligible.
Ken, sticking with the goaltending, Vegas Golden Knights picked up Ilya Samsonov. Of course, he played with Toronto last year. When you look at the goaltending for the Vegas Golden Knights going into this season with Adin Hill, is this Adin Hill's net, or is it going to be more of a split here to start the season off?
It's it's definitely a 1-2 situation, but they're pretty committed to not overdoing it with one guy. So I think Adin Hill's the clear starter. He'll get opening night. He'll get most of the important games. I think if there's a break in the schedule, he'll get most of the games. The idea will be he's the starter, and then when we need to use a backup. But if there's 3 games in a week, you could probably guess that since Samsonov is going to get one of them in that week. I think that the aim would probably be 50 for one guy and 32 the other way would probably be what they're looking at. But Adin Hill's never made it through a full season healthy, so he has to prove he can do that before he can truly be, the full-time, full-season starter.
Ken Boehlke joining us from Sin Bin Vegas, talking everything Vegas Golden Knights. Ken, how's camp going so far with the Vegas Golden Knights? By all accounts, it seems like everyone's healed up. What's stuck out for you mostly so far through this first few days?
I think the biggest thing for me is just they went from a really good team that just barely came up short against a very good Dallas team, which they had a lot of the same players coming back. Yes, there are a lot of players that aren't here, but a lot of the same roster is back. And yet, when they come back into camp, all 4 forward lines are different and all 3 D pairs are different. You have a couple guys switching sides on D. You have someone new on every single one of the forward lines. There's wingers changing or centers changing to wing in Nick Waugh's scenario. It seems like there's definitely a new feel to what the roster is going to look like with all of the players that have left. And the idea, it appears to me, is they're trying to find a way to kind of A, balance the roster, and B, find a way to kind of generate some offense specifically from the defensemen. Putting Theodore and Pietrangelo together atop the D pairs indicates that they're looking for a little bit more offense. They were near the bottom in the league in goals scored by defensemen last year. And so it looks like, yes, we want to keep the roster balanced. We're not going to load up with Eichel and Stone and Hertl all on one line, but we do need to find a way to get that scoring if we do leave it balanced. So it's interesting to me that a team that was very good last year comes back the next year and does not have a single line or pair intact.
Speaking of a couple new players, Victor Olofsson and Alexander Holtz. Holtz a lot younger there. Where do you see these guys fitting in? Are both going to be in the top 6, or it's more of a top 9 role for both these guys, and see what works best on the wing for them?
Yeah, so right now they have Olofsson on the top line, or what's listed as the top line. I typically will say whichever line Eichel's on is your top line. There's an argument that a line of Carlson and Stone together could be a top line, but for all intents and purposes, Olofsson is on a line with Eichel and Barbashev. That is Marchessault's place from the past, so that is effectively a top line. Holtz is on a line that they're kind of trying to figure out how everything is going to fit. They didn't get a lot of great hockey out of Tomas Hertl towards the end of last season when he did get to play. He only played 4 regular season games and then all 7 playoff games. They have Nick Waugh on the left side of him, on the right side of him, and Holtz on the other side. It's one where they're really trying to figure out, what do we have in some of these guys? What do we have in Olofsson? What do we have in Holtz? How much can we trust them to take some of the defensive responsibility? And in the case of Holtz, the goal is they got 2 bigger guys that like to hold the puck down near the goal. They want him to kind of find the soft spots and be the shooter on that line. Olofsson is supposed to be the shooter on the top line. So they're both in positions to score, but there's been issues in both of their past that led them to be Golden Knights at fairly cheap costs that they're going to have to get over, and they're going to have to prove to Bruce Cassidy that they can play 200-foot hockey, because if you don't, he's not going to keep you in top 6, top 9 roles. He'll drop you right out of the lineup. So both of them have a lot to prove over the course of the next few preseason games and then into the beginning of the season.
Ken, we've seen Vegas at the deadlines weave magic. I mean, I think it was a shock to the hockey world that they were able to acquire the services of Thomas Hertl at the trade deadline. Here in Edmonton, we look into the future to see what type of player that a team might want to look at to shore up their team for a longer playoff run. Is there an area that in this Vegas Golden Knights lineup that you could foresee them maybe making a move closer to the trade deadline this year?
I think they're a winger short, maybe two wingers short at the moment, like Victor Olofsson being a top-line winger, leaning on Pavel Dorofeev and Alex Holtz to be kind of your middle six wingers. Like that's a lot to ask out of guys that really haven't been able to do it over the course of their NHL careers, which are short in the case of a few of them. But I think if they could find like a guy who's reliable both ways, it doesn't have to be like a 40-goal scorer. It doesn't have to be a lockdown defensive guy. I think it just needs to be somebody who you're pretty comfortable with. You know, those guys are always out there at the deadline. I think the trick this year is they don't have quite the assets that they've had in the past to make these moves. So a lot of the times we've always been looking at the salary cap, and it's like, where are the Golden Knights going to find the cap space to make those moves? Like, I don't necessarily foresee that being as big of a problem as they don't have many of their picks. Their first-round picks are basically completely depleted. They don't have the previous two to this season. They made their first-round pick at 19 this year, and then they don't have each of the next two. So the next first-round pick that they can trade is in 2027. So it's going to be tough to make a deal where they're going to be able to bring in that superstar like they have done in the past without having all of those assets available to them, despite the fact that they might end up having cap room. That's where a lot of people have suggested maybe Shea Theodore, who's an unrestricted free agent, amongst a pretty crowded defense. Maybe they look to move on from him, but haven't done it yet. That would indicate to me that the plan would probably be to keep him around.
Hey, Ken, last one here for me. When you look at the Pacific Division, we're anticipating the Oilers are going to be fighting for the top spot there. Do you have Vegas right there with them, or do you think they drop off a bit? Like, what are your kind of, when you're looking into that crystal ball, where do you see the Vegas Golden Knights finishing in the Pacific Division?
I think for Vegas, it's going to come down to health. If they're a healthy team, like if they're one of the top 10 healthy teams in the league, I think they're going to be right there fighting for winning the division. If they're not, I think it's going to be a stretch for them to be at the top of the Pacific Division. Like if they're missing players like they have missed players in the past, they're probably going to be in that 3 or 4 slot in the Pacific, kind of fighting for that one of those last playoff spots. I think they'll probably still find a way to get there. So I wouldn't say like I have all that many concerns about them making the playoffs. But I think that in regards to how likely they are to be back at the top of the division, it's going to be, you're probably going to need to only be able to miss maybe 50 or 60 games between all of the best group of players, which is like Eichel, Stone, Carlson, Hertl, Pietrangelo, Hanifin. Like if any of those guys are out for extended periods of time, it's going to be awfully difficult for them to keep up in this division.
Ken, I really appreciate you joining us today. Where can people reach you and read some of the stuff that you've got out there?
We're on all the social medias at Sinbin Vegas, and then if you just go to the website, it's sinbin.vegas. Pretty cool that there's no .com. We have our city's cool enough that .vegas is a real thing, so we like that.
That's absolutely amazing. I didn't even know that. Ken, thanks for joining us today. Hopefully we can get you down the road when these two titans of the Pacific Division lock horns, and we can discuss afterwards. Thanks for today.
Let's do it. Whenever you want to have me, let's do it.
That's Ken Boehlke from Sinbin Vegas joining us. It's an older team, right? If they can stay healthy, looking at some of the ages of these guys. But look, that's a veteran lineup with a lot of guys that have done it before. You know, they know what it's gone through. The one question I wanted to ask, I forgot all about it, but I thought that Marchessault was a real leader. You know, an integral part of that team. you heard him talk at the end of the season, kind of wanting to stay, but just feeling a little bit undervalued. Got a pretty good deal in Nashville, all things considered. But I wonder how they deal with like key pieces of their team moving out and trying to replace that, maybe a little bit of that dressing room presence.
That culture, right? That because he was big, and he sounded bitter when he left. He wanted to stay. They couldn't make the money work, and he moves on. But you said it. Their decor is top notch. Like you look at their 6 guys. Like those 6 guys are all quality defensemen. They did lose Alec Martinez, who's a really good player for them as well. But third period, McNabb, Whitecloud, really good. Hannafin with Nicholas Hague. Nicholas Hague's, I think, a little underrated. That guy can hit. He can do it all. And then you have your top pair of Theodore and Peter Angelo, which is fantastic. But I kind of agree with Ken, where I think they are going to lose a little bit up front with, March so gone. I don't think Olofsson brings that same kind of oomph to this team. Alexander Holtz is a young player. We really don't know what he is yet. And he said it too. He goes, I don't know where they're going to play him. He might be on the third line. Right now they have him with Hurdle and Nicholas Roy. I said this, I think, a couple of days ago. I think the Pacific is the Oilers' division to lose. I think a lot of the teams have taken a step back, and I think the Oilers' decor has taken a step back. But when I look at offensively and between the pipes, I think the Oilers are ahead of a lot of teams.
Yeah, like I said, the only thing that gives me pause is that decor. It's quite good. Caster 1990 asked the question, guys. Please ask the Vegas guy if the Lehner situation is the Golden Knights trying to circumvent the cap again by terminating his contract. I believe Lehner, the team knew he wasn't going to show. That's what I understand too. Is there was conversations between all parties, like the PA, the league, the Golden Knights, Lehner's camp. But look, this guy's gone through. So it's all out there, the mental health issues, the substance abuse, and just really trying. It got to a point where he just wasn't able to get there to do this. Yeah. So I hope things are done in a correct manner, that it doesn't look like, lack of better, shady stuff going on, and just taking care. Because look, this I think from all accounts, it sounded like Robin Lehner wouldn't even have been able to pass the physical because of the hip issues that he has. So, but just from a mental health standpoint, he couldn't get there. Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah. Carmen Gill on the nasty chat. He's a big Oiler guy. He says, get rid of Josh Brown. Carmen, we're 3 games into the regular preseason. And we agree with you. He needs to be better, 100%. But let's just wait a bit before we start shipping guys out of town.
We got 20 minutes before Jay and Reed take over this show, so we got to get to a break here. Here's Zach with a sports update.
The Oilers send Nathaniel Day, Connor Clattenburg, William Nickel, and Dallin Wakely back to junior. Preseason for the Oilers continues tomorrow against the Jets. Tonight it's Maple Leafs and Senators, the Devils meeting the Canadiens, and the Capitals against the Bruins. 6 of the 8 games on schedule start at 5. McLeod Bethel-Thompson is expected to start this week for the Elks. The 36-year-old has 14 touchdowns and 9 interceptions in 14 games this season. The Carolina Panthers place veteran wide receiver Adam Thielen on injury reserve. Thielen has 1 touchdown on 8 receptions so far this year. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel says QB Skylar Thompson is day-to-day with a chest injury. McDaniel said QB Tyler Huntley has the possibility to start against the Titans on Monday. In the MLB, it's the Jays against the Red Sox. First pitch for that game goes just after 5, and other baseball action sees the Brewers against the Pirates, the Cubs against the Phillies, and the Dodgers playing the Padres. Brewers-Pirates starts at 4:40. And it was former 2 Division I championship title holder Renier de Ridder signing a multi-fight deal with the UFC. The 34-year-old is 17-2 in MMA and will make his debut in the UFC at 185 pounds. Just after the break, it's the final segment of EST Afternoons with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage before we hit the Reed Wilkins Show at the top of the hour. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and that was your EST Update.
Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of Injury Law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oiler fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. Oilers and Elks, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the association, Formula One, soccer, golf, oh sweet mama, the excitement is palatable on Edmonton Sports Talk. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website and send a message at edmontonsportstalk.com.
Welcome back to the show, EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas joining you for a little bit longer before we get the lovely and talented Jay and Reed show coming up. Yeah, I think we're going to get to a little bit of history and sports here, Hernan. What?
Hey, did you get potatoes from Jay today?
Yeah, there's a ton of potatoes in here. And of course I forgot a bag, so I guess I gotta put them in a garbage bag and haul them out of here. But I think there's some Yannis in here too, some Yanni gourds I saw too, so maybe maybe take some of those as well.
Interesting. I
was looking this up, buddy, the events today in sports history. I don't want to step on your toes or what you might have looked at, but what
no
what were you seeing today in sports history?
Speaking of hockey, and probably the people don't like this kind of rule, but in 1937, the NHL Board of Governors introduced legislation that discouraged icing during the league's semi-annual meeting. The new rules would cause a face-off in the defensive zone if the team shot the puck all the way down without scoring a goal. And that's how we got icing, guys.
Wow. That's crazy. Has there not been talks about the team that's killing a penalty not being able to ice the puck? Like it would just be icing and coming back? I don't know how I feel about that. I think you just get into a point where there'd be like 2 minutes of whistles. You know, like it would get to the Stanley Cup or a final, or you need to win. Who cares? We'll take the face off. You're getting a break. I don't know where you. I just think it would slow down the game, eat too much in that respect.
Yeah, it would help a few of the Edmonton Oilers defensemen that iced the fuck up.
It's one game, man.
It's one game. I didn't want to. There's a ton of this day in sports, but a lot of it is, like stuff that it's just not it's not cool, I guess. So once the NHL season starts, then we have a lot more because there's like a vintage Oiler page. There's like a NHL one that shows all the trades made on that day or birthdays or stuff like that. So it's kind of cool once the hockey gets going there. And Tommy Gazzola just jumped into the nasty chat as well. The birthday boy.
Oh, the birthday boy. God, he looks old today. Jeez, it's crazy. Two-burger time.
Yeah.
I was looking at this day in sports too. Back in 2003, it says Chicago Cubs outfield Sammy Sosa was caught for using a corked bat. So
yeah.
That's crazy. That's a lot of work to put cork in a bat too. Like, what are you doing? I mean, you got to get the drill out. You got to find that. How many? You would probably know this more than anyone, Hernan. How many bottles of wine does it take to get that many corks to put into the bat? Like, how much cork do you have to put in there?
I'd say at least 5 or 6, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, that was. I remember that. Yeah, and they went up to him. The bat was like in half, and they find the cork. They're like, "Yeah, it's crazy."
Just pops it right out of the stadium. That's great. I tried a corked goal stick. Didn't work. Just gave out even more rebounds. So,
hey, did you? Have you seen the previews for that new NHL behind the scenes show that's going to air, the docu-series?
Yeah. What did you think of the first of all the ad? I know that there was talk about the ad itself, how it's going to grab eyes, and what about Connor McDavid after the game yelling at his teammates? What do you think about that?
I loved it, man. That's a leader right there. Get in there. Because what was it? It's not good enough. Dig in. It's the finals or something like that. I loved it. And I didn't know he was a part of it until I saw that clip. And I'm like, I am so all in right now. I'm going to watch it. Because I guess he told some media that he goes, if you filmed it, use it. Like, he goes, yeah, and there's a lot of intimate moments like that we don't get to see, Gage, or within teammates after losses and wins and all that. So I'm very looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. And it's great to see, because you see Connor's always so calm and chill and kind of just, he's always on the same straight line, right? It was amazing to see him show that much passion. I loved it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so hard to get that glimpse behind the curtain, right?
Yeah.
And with hockey players, they're so reserved and kind of polished when they speak. You don't get a lot from them. So, and as we've seen, I think with a lot of these shows that have come out, Dustin and I were talking like Full Swing, Breakpoint, Drive to Survive, giving you a little bit more access to what players actually go through. I think it's going to create more fans because it personalizes them a little bit more. Like it. And I'm with you. I love the fact that was the end of the game, right? Because they had the jersey bin out. Everyone lays their jerseys to get washed and stuff. So that was probably after, I'm going to say probably game 2 that happened.
Yeah.
But Dusty said today that David Pagnotta said, I guess he's got some insider information about the whole series. I think it's 6 parts that you don't see Connor until like episode 4, so it's a lot like Drive to Survive. So skip the other.
Skip ahead.
I mean, if you want to see William Nylander look like he's half sedated in a chair, leaning back, no, I'm gonna watch it for sure. I love that kind of stuff. Any type of good sports documentaries, I love. I know Dusty probably wasn't a fan of this one, but Last Dance, I mean, I couldn't wait every Sunday night to watch an episode because they were slow dripping that thing. But and to see Connor McDavid just lose it a bit is it's great. I love it. The one thing though, I know my phone's listening to me because I was trying to find more information of this whole thing, and I actually fell upon. It was an interview with Connor's parents. So his mom and dad were sitting there getting interviewed. And, I mean, this just goes to show you what a different breed Connor McDavid is. But Connor's mom was telling the story of it sounded like he was just a little kid at a game. And Connor comes home and tells his mom, goes, "Mom, can you believe it? Little Jimmy was on the bench today. He was talking about a video game." And his mom was like, "Yeah, Connor, that's because he's normal." It's just like he's saying, like, you're not normal the way you're hyper focused and things, and that's how he is, man. There's certain people that do things a certain way, and that's the reason that they're great. And yeah, it was quite interesting to hear that his mom was saying, "Yeah, that's because the other kids are normal, Connor. You're not."
And what a concept, eh? Let's do a behind the scenes show on the best player on the planet. Like, about time, NHL. Like, it was great. And you said it was after game 2, so the boys didn't dig in until game 4, but they got the message.
Yeah, the message was dealt just probably a little bit too late. A lot of Oilers fans saying that they can't watch this. This is going to bring up too many bad memories. Look, part of the journey is the emotion that you have throughout it. For Oilers fans, hopefully that ends this year with something sweet at the end. It'll taste that much better, I guarantee. But things have to change on the back end before we see any of that, Hernan. Let's just before that happens. Hopefully tomorrow night against the Winnipeg Jets. Very interested to see who goes, what the Jets lineup looks like. Again, I do think that we're going to see Stuart Skinner, so that's awesome. Can't wait to see him play. What other things that kind of maybe some other areas other than the right side? What else are you looking for, Hernan?
I guess it depends on who's playing up front, but yeah, just that bottom 6. Maybe that 4th line center. I know Noah Phillips turning a lot of heads, and I really like what I've seen from him so far. I heard Paul Colson wasn't very good last night, and then he played with Draisaitl, so. That intrigues me because he was good in the first game. So those 2 guys I'm keeping an eye on, and some of the younger guys that are still 3-4 years away. I don't mind watching them, seeing what they bring to the game and all that. But like you said, the big one is the right side, and I think that's going to be the one we're going to be watching closely here with the Edmonton Oilers as they go through the preseason. Should be fun. I'll be honest, Gage, I don't think it's going to be a veteran lineup going to Winnipeg.
Well,
I think
yeah, no, I think that the guys got a game like last night. It seemed like, I mean, I didn't watch a lot of the game that was here, just some highlights.
Yeah.
I was more focused on the Calgary game. But yeah, it's usually in these types of scenarios where you'll see, like the trip to Calgary is not that big a deal, right? It's not that bad. Going to Winnipeg flight, you probably see some more first rounders and just meeting that 8-player veteran quota that they have to ice in this scenario. So, and again, we'll dissect it to death, but I don't think we need to take a lot of stock in it. Again, I just really want to see someone step up and make just turn some heads.
Yeah.
Someone that's going to be a lot more noticeable than we've seen in these last 3 games.
Yeah, and I know the Oilers sent down 4 guys to juniors today, including Clattenburg, who was Connor Claffenberg, who turned some heads with his physicality, especially at the Young Stars tournament. We'll leave with this from Kelvin Van Dasselaar. One bad game, one bad play, Gager. It was 17-10 at the time, and that's, of course, regarding the quarterback change for the Edmonton Elks, announced and made official today by the head coach of the Edmonton Elks down at practice there at Commonwealth Stadium. So, Gager, interesting times for the Elks. That should be fun, but we got to go. Reed and Jay up next. Thank you for hosting, buddy.
Hey, no, thank you for letting me host, buddy. That's going to do it today at EST Afternoons. I'm Joaquin Gage, joined by my best buddy, Hernan Salas. Zach, thanks for a wonderful day. We'll see you all again tomorrow.